himself here in the blue jacket. If you don't recognize him, Jens is turning 60 this year, next month. Jens was my advisor for my PhD. I thought I owed him some payback in embarrassing him. I won't say too many embarrassing anecdotes, but I will in my talk, don't worry. But actually, the real welcome is going to be done by Todd, who's known Jens since at least 2004 when you joined UCLA. But we've got a great selection of talks. It's mostly former students and former colleagues. And we've even got Jens's advisor here. So Peter Mosses is here, sitting right behind him. I had actually not met Peter until this morning, other than over email. And so for all of Jens's students, that's like your grandfather. So get a chance to talk to Peter. It'll be wonderful. So without further ado, Todd.
Is my mic working?
I think so. Is it?
You have to stand a little bit.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Well, I'm really happy to be welcoming everyone here today and sharing my experiences and honoring one of my favorite people, Jens Paulsberg, sitting right over there. I'm lucky enough, as Ben said, to have been Jens's colleague for the last 20 years, and I've known him longer than that. And I'm calling him three of a kind because he gets so much done that I'm convinced there are three of him. So, everybody knows Jens. He's, there's one sitting right here, but I'm pretty sure there's another one right now in an important meeting somewhere. And there's another one writing a letter for someone's award somewhere as well. So, Jens does so much it really boggles the mind. And you may think it's far-fetched that there's three of them, but he moved to quantum computing a few years ago. So who knows? Who knows? But the reason I'm also calling him three of a kind is because I think he's played kind of three distinct roles in my career since I joined UCLA, and I kind of wanted to highlight those. So one is as a mentor. When I joined UCLA, well, actually, first of all, even before I joined UCLA, I knew Jens when I was a grad student because he was colleagues with my advisor, and I went to interview at Purdue, and he was there, and as I recall, he met me for dinner the night before and said, "Hey, they may be going to hire you as my replacement. I'm leaving," and so he's moving to UCLA, and then I got an interview at UCLA, and so then I interviewed there, and he wasn't there yet, but I knew he was coming, and so moving to UCLA Jens was like a big draw for me there, and once I moved there, he really kind of helped to mentor me as a new professor in many different ways. We wrote my first grant proposal that I ever wrote was with Jens. That's a little small, but Jens was the PI on a grant we wrote right when I joined with two other colleagues who had just joined, Eddie and Rupak. That was a successful grant, so that was my first grant proposal. We worked together on research. Early on, I had this project on type qualifiers and wanted to do type inference, which I didn't know anything about. And of course, Jens is an expert in that area, constraint-based type inference, and so we worked on that together. He involved me in various projects, like writing a chapter of a textbook. I also taught his course a couple of times, and that was really eye-opening because he has this course that he's still teaching today that in 10 weeks takes students from a high-level language, from a decent subset of Java down to assembly, and I really learned a lot through that course about challenging students and that they'll rise to the challenge if you give them support to do that, and that's really informed a lot of my teaching, and I've gone on to kind of create courses that have that same philosophy. So really kind of formative experiences in the first 3-4 years that I joined UCLA. The next Jens number 2 is the citizen, and Jens is really a model citizen, as everybody knows, kind of in the department, in the broader university, in SIGPlan, in ACM. It's kind of crazy. I took this snapshot of Jens's CV a couple days ago. I think he's the only one I know who has 13 pages of his CV just for his service record. And actually, I'm pretty sure that the table of contents goes to the next page, so I didn't quite finish the entire service thing. But I was looking at it, and it's actually staggering. If you just look at the service to UCLA, he was the department chair for 5 years. He was the vice chair for, I think, 2 years or so. And as far as I can count, he was the head of the faculty hiring committee for 8 years. So that's 15 years out of the 20 years that he's been at UCLA. He's been doing one of the major service roles in the department. And that's only the department. And then if you know Jens, you know that, out in SIGPlan, in ACM, actually now at UCLA at the campus level, what I just said, that's 4.3 service to UCLA. but there's all these 4-point other things that are everything else. So it's really mind-boggling, and you know, that's been a big he's played a kind of a role as a role model for me to kind of understand the importance of being a good citizen, and also the impact you can have by playing those roles. And so right now I'm the department chair, and you know, Jens is really the person that I rely on the most for wisdom and advice and feedback. And you know, if I ask him a question, he's usually available to give me a call, you know, within an hour or two and tell me some experience, some story about something that happened in the past, and you know, some sage wisdom on how I should proceed. The last one is Jens the Explorer. So I think Jens is also a model of how to have a fulfilling career as an academic. You know, he was 5 years as the chair, and he could have just very easily gone back to doing what he was doing before, which was, you know, static analysis and compilers and you know, the traditional stuff he was doing, and that would have been great, and that would have been very normal. But really, he took a left turn. Actually, he took kind of 2 left turns. You know, he took a left turn into getting an MBA, and then after that, he took a left turn in terms of quantum, and of course, still using and leveraging the things that he knows well, like programming languages and static analysis, but really jumped in this new area, jumped into the unknown, kind of challenging himself, forcing himself to learn new things, and I think that's been very inspiring for me, and I think it helps me to make bolder choices in my career. There's a 4th bonus Jens, which is the comedian, which is Jens is one of the funniest people I know. Hopefully other people, I think Krishna's collecting stories, so hopefully Krishna will say something good about that. And that's really all I want to say. I want to thank all 3 Jenses for the role that they've played in my career, and I'm sure in many others sitting here today. And welcome again. I'm excited to be here.